Good morning. Welcome back to the Red Mic. Happy Thursday. Glad you're here. Today's Red Mic message is a memo to the NCAA. Now, if you've been listening this week, you know that I've said this before, and I'm going to keep saying it until somebody proves me wrong. I am not anti-NIL. I am anti-chaos, and I am anti-lying about what college sports have become. For decades, college athletes pretended to be amateur athletes while universities were cashing their multi-million-dollar checks. That needed to go away. It was unfair to the athletes. NIL did not destroy college sports, but it exposed it for what it really is. But here's the problem. We didn't fix the system. We just removed the guardrails and called it progress. I've got some ideas on how to fix it. But first, Red Mike Messages are leadership and life lessons picked up from 25 years as a public servant, 16 years as a youth football coach and scouting volunteer, and 10 years as a mediocre athlete with far more heart than actual physical ability. So today, what I want to talk about is not nostalgia, it's structure. If this is a professional sport, and I say that it is, then it needs professional rules. Here are some ideas that I have on how to fix it. First, expand the college football playoff. If you want players and universities, frankly, to finish the seasons, you have to give the seasons meaning. Nothing major. Add 4 more teams to the playoff. Right now, by mid-November, only a handful of programs believe they're still alive. Everybody else starts planning exits. Players, coaches, agents, everybody. And seed those teams based on where you expect them to be in the real world. That means you play number 1 plays number 16, number 2, number 15. Are you going to see blowouts in some of those games? Yeah. Who cares? It happens in March Madness every year. Let's keep going. Now, more playoff means you're going to have more teams with something to play for. You're going to have fewer opt-outs, fewer temper tantrums like Notre Dame. I can't tell you how disappointed I am in those guys. Anyway, fewer games are going to be treated like inconveniences. The postseason should reward staying together and not accelerate the breakup. Number 2 relates to players. You get 1 free transfer without a penalty. You deserve mobility as a player, period. But every player should only get 1 unrestricted transfer. No sit-out year, no eligibility gymnastics, no pretending that we're shocked that some 18-year-old chose the wrong school. But after that 1 free move, the rules are going to tighten up a lot because unlimited transfers don't create freedom, they create instability. Teams stop being teams, they become temporary assignments. Freedom without structure doesn't empower these players, it just burns everything down faster. 3, end the golden parachutes or move who pays that bill. If a coach is fired for poor performance, chaos, or incompetence, there should be no golden parachute. None. I think it's ridiculous that A&M is still paying Jimbo, aren't they? Aren't they? I mean, come on. This is not a Bobby Bonds kind of contract. If buyouts continue to exist like this, and let's be honest, they probably will, though, here's some changes. If another school hires your coach, they pay the buyout. Not the fans, not the boosters, not the school left picking up the wreckage. And if the coach resigns or quits to take another job, they get nothing. That was their choice. Professional behavior cuts both ways. Now, on the taking another job, I've got a point on that a little bit later. Number 4, players can leave, but they cannot follow the coach. I think this one matters a lot, so listen carefully. If a coach leaves, players should absolutely be allowed to transfer. No one should be trapped, but they should not be allowed to follow that coach to his new school for 1 season. That's about you, Drew Mestamaker, and the heartache you just gave my wife when you left her alma mater. But seriously, not forever, just 1 year, because otherwise coaching changes just turn into roster raids. It's not recruiting, it's strip mining at its worst. And I think it's wrong. You can leave, you just can't be packed in the same U-Haul with your coach. And I don't think this is anti-player. I think this is anti-tampering with a paper trail. Number 5, poaching has a price. Here's the coaching thing I mentioned. If a school hires another school's coach, there's real damage. Recruiting classes collapse. Systems disappear overnight. Entire rosters are thrown into limbo. So let's stop pretending that this is cost-free. If school A hires school B's coach, school A should have to pay that season's remaining salary to school B. and any golden parachutes if they exist. Call it a transfer fee. That's exactly what it is. If you want elite talent, fine, but you've got to pay for the disruption that you cause. Number 6, commit before the season. No more postseason ambiguity. Before the season starts, school have to declare, will you accept a playoff bid? Yes. Will you play in a bowl game? Yes. No late opt-outs, Notre Dame. No, we've decided to focus on next year. These games are commitments to teammates, fans, alumni, and everybody who showed up all year long. You don't get to walk away at the altar because it's inconvenient or you dislike the way they pronounce supposedly. That's a Friends reference. I love my wife and she'll get it. Number 7, no bowl games for losing teams, period. If you don't have a winning record, you don't get a bowl game. Bowl games were meant to be rewards, closure, one last earned moment together. They were not meant to be participation trophies with a sponsor logo. Winning should still matter. Number 8, NIL contracts need clawbacks. I love what Georgia is doing. If NIL is real money and it's a real contract, then it needs to be treated like a real contract. That means clawback provisions. I like that clawback provision. Repayment if players transfer early. Consequences if participation obligations aren't met. And that gets into the postseason when you have players leaving for the not for the transfer portal, but they say, well, I'm declaring for the NFL, so I'm done. Okay, fine. Then pay me back what we paid you, at least part of it, because we paid you for a full season. So by golly, you're not here all season. That's you, Michael Taft. Give us our money. Schools and collectives take risks too, and those risks deserve protection. Contracts should cut both ways, just like they do everywhere else in adult professional life. And number 9, and this is my most important point, I think. Some schools do this as a matter of courtesy, but not all of them do. If a player's career ends, the education doesn't. If a player suffers a career-ending injury on the field, that school should be forced to honor the scholarship as long as that student's grades would otherwise keep them enrolled. At that point, NIL payments end, athletic participation ends, but tuition, housing, and the meal plan continue for up to 4 additional years if that's what it takes to complete that degree. So if someone gets hurt in their sophomore year, fall semester, they finish that year and then they get 4 more years paid for by the school to finish that degree. But this part is critical. Once that athlete is no longer medically able to play, they no longer count against the roster limit or the scholarship caps. That money would be in a separate trust, a separate area of the funding. It's separate from athletics, but it's a continuation of the athletics. They're no longer an athlete. They're just a student whose education was earned through the risk that they already took. Without this rule, I think a lot of schools would quietly pressure injured players out to free up spots. That's going to prevent that. Bottom line is, if a university benefited from a player's body, labor, and risk, and they do, and that risk permanently ended their playing career, the university doesn't get to walk away scot-free and double count that cost. That's not charity, it's responsibility. Because for decades, education was the moral justification for this system. If schools want to use that argument, then this is the obligation that comes with it. Now, what's the point of all of these 9 points that I just made? It's not to go backward, it's to stop pretending. Players deserve freedom with structure. Coaches deserve opportunity with accountability. Schools deserve stability with honesty about the costs. If college sports is going to act and operate like a professional league, and let's face it, it is, then it needs rules to reflect that reality. Not vibes, not slogans, not trust us language, structure. Because the system we have right now doesn't reward loyalty, it doesn't reward finishing what you start, and it doesn't protect the people who pay the highest price when things go wrong. That's not reform. That's chaos with better branding. And that's today's Red Mike message. I hope you found it interesting. Love that you've stuck with me on these topics. Tomorrow, hashtag Fun Friday. I'm gonna point out the cynical side of all of this. And when you point, there's 3 fingers pointing back at you. Well, I'm going to address the 3 fingers that are pointing back at us, because we don't like what's happened, but we're still rewarding it. More on that tomorrow. I love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully. And don't forget, as always, life is short. Drink the bourbon.